Hello and welcome to EarthElects. Today we'll be talking about the 2021 Western Australian state election that was held on the 13th of March 2021. This election was held to elect both houses of the bicameral Parliament of Western Australia, 59 members of the Assembly, which is the lower house, and 36 members of the Legislative Council, or the upper house. In the Assembly, the 59 members are elected to single-member seats using full preferential instant runoff voting, while in the Legislative Council, the 36 members are elected in six-member seats, with STV using group voting tickets. Compulsory voting is in effect. The Australian Labor Party Western Australian branch is a party with 41 Assembly seats and 14 council seats at the last election. This decreased to 40 Assembly seats after a by-election. It is led by Mark McGowan, Peel and South West Minister 2005 to 2008, Tourism Racing and Gaming Minister between 2005 and 2006, Disability Services Minister between 2005 and 2007, Environment Minister in 2006, Education and Training Minister from 2006 to 2008, Public Sector Management Minister since 2017, MLA for Rockingham since 1996, Leader of the Opposition between 2012 and 2017, Party Leader since 2012, Treasurer or Finance Minister since 2021, and Premier or Head of Government since 2017. The Liberal Party of Australia Western Australian Division is a Liberal Conservative party with 13 Assembly seats and 9 council seats at the last election. It is led by Zach Kirkup, Shadow Minister assisting the Leader of the Opposition between 2017 and 2019, Shadow Corrective Services Minister between 2017 and 2019 as well, Shadow New Industries, Innovation and Disrupted Technologies Minister between 2019 and 2020, Shadow Health, Mental Health and Indigenous Affairs Minister between 2019 and 2021, Shadow Federal State Relations Minister between 2020 and 21, Deputy State Director of Campaign Support between 2008 and 2015, Manager of Opposition Business between 2019 and 2020, Member for Dawesville between 2017 to 2021, and Party Leader between 2020 and 21, and also Leader of the Opposition. In that time, the National Party of Australia WA, which is a Conservative party with 5 Assembly seats and 4 council seats at the last election, but it turned into 6 because a Liberal defected. It is led by Mia Davies, Water and Forestry Minister between 2013 and 2017, Sport and Recreation Minister between 2014 and 17, Assistant State Development Minister between 2014 and 17, Regional Development and Lands Parliamentary Secretary between 2009 and 2012, Deputy Party Leader between 2013 and 2017, Member of the Council for the Agricultural Region between 2009 and 2013, a Member of the Assembly for Central Wheat Belt since 2013, and also Party Leader since 2017. Her party was attempting to become the official opposition and thus her Leader of the Opposition for the term starting in 2021. There were some parties with no seats in the Assembly, but some in the Council. These included the Greens Western Australia with 4 seats, the Hansonist Pauline Hanson's One Nation with 3 seats, the Big Tent Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party with 1 seat, and the Classical Liberal Democratic Party with 1 seat. The Conservative Australian Christians, the Pro-Western Australian Secession Waxit Party, the Regionalist Western Australian Party, the Pro-Issue-Based Direct Democracy Flux, and the Socialist Alliance were also running. There were some new parties, including the Anti-Mandatory Vaccination No Mandatory Vaccination Party, the Pro-Legalisation of Cannabis Legalise Cannabis Western Australia Party, and Sustainable Australia, which were each running in their first election. The single-issue Daylight Savings Party, the Constitutional Conspiracists, the Great Australian Party, and the Pro-Naturopathy Health Australia Party are all running in the Legislative Council only, and there are also various independents which were running for both houses in the state. The last election was held in 2017 when Labour won a huge majority, the largest in Western Australian history. Opinion polls showed Labour strongly in the lead in this election too, with the Liberals in second in terms of vote share, ahead of the Greens, with the Nationals and One Nation fighting for fourth. This is in terms of vote share and not necessarily seat projections, as I said. Premier McGowan was massively popular with an approval rating of 88% due to his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, so much so that Liberal leader Kirkup conceded defeat 2 weeks before the election. The Liberals had problems as well, with one candidate defending her husband's views on conversion therapy, and another candidate had to resign from the party and stand as an independent after claiming a link between 5G towers and COVID-19. There were a few boundary changes before the election, while the West Australian newspaper, which is the most popular in the state, endorsed Labour, and really one of the only big papers in the state. But they endorsed Labour, which is actually uncharacteristic for them. And all of this pointed to a big victory, and it was. Labour got 53 seats, the Nationals got 4, and the Liberals got 2 in the Assembly. And in the Council, Labour got 22, the Liberals got 7, the Nationals got 3, legalised cannabis got 2, and the Greens and Daylight Savings Party got 1 each. So Labour's won a majority in both houses, gaining 13 assembly seats and 8 legislative council seats. Every seat in the country swung towards them. Their assembly vote share of 59.9% was an increase of 17.7%. It's the most decisive election in Australian history, whether that be a federal election, a state election, or a territorial election. The Nationals became the opposition party despite losing 2 assembly seats and 1 legislative council seat, with a vote share of 4%, which was a decrease of 1.4%. This was because of the Liberals losing 11 assembly seats and 2 legislative council seats. Their vote share of 21.3% represented a decrease in 9.9%. Remember, in 2017, that was already a landslide against them as well. Liberal leader Kirkup lost his seat and resigned. Legalised cannabis gained 2 seats in the Legislative Council in their first election. Their vote share was 0.4%, but much higher in the upper house. The Greens lost 3 of their Legislative Council seats, and their vote share was 6.9%, down by 2%. The final seat in the upper house was won by the Daylight Saving Party, again for a party that only ran in the upper house election. One Nation lost all 3 of its Legislative Council seats, its vote share of 1.3% being a decline of 3.7%. Shooters, Fishers and Farmers lost their upper house seat with 0.7% of the vote, down by 0.6%, as did the Liberal Democratic Party, despite getting 0.5% of the vote, which was up by 0.5% in the Assembly election. No other parties won seats. The highest vote share of these extra parliamentary parties will include the No Mandatory Vaccination Party on 1.6%. Seats with a Labour incumbent that flipped in 2017 had large swings to Labour, whilst those who didn't speak English at home and had a clerical job also swung to Labour in large numbers. However, the swing to Labour was less pronounced in those over 60 years old. So a win for the Labour Party then. I hope you learnt something. I'd be especially interested to hear from you if you're from Western Australia. And thanks for watching. I'll see you